What's up everybody, my name is Danielle and welcome back to Teen Word. So we have finished one full week on this channel and I am so happy of how it's turned out so far. Today my video is going to be based on the topic of could you, would you, should you faith. And that pretty much is just the order of the faith stages. I'm going to go through all of them and hopefully inspire you guys to really work towards moving it to the next stage in your faith, as well as realizing that it's okay to be where you're at. Let's start with stage one, the could you faith. Could you faith is basically talking about when you're in your faith and you don't necessarily know if God can do what you're asking him, you know? You could be at a point where it's like, well, can he really do this for me? Like, it's really big. Or can he really do this for me? It's so small. What would be the point of him helping me in this situation, right? So I'm gonna share with you a verse, Mark 9:21-24. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It has often thrown him into the fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." "If you can," Jesus said, "everything is possible for him who believes." Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." God still healed the man's son even though his faith was very little and was the can you faith, you know, can you do this? And Jesus' response to him saying, everything is possible for him who believes. So in that moment, the dad was like, okay, yes, I believe in you. Then goes and asks, help me with my unbelief. Even though he wasn't strong in his faith, he still believed and he still was willing to let God work in his life and help him with the unbelief. What they're talking about when they say have faith like a mustard seed. It can be as small as that, but if you're willing to let God help you with your unbelief, in the future it will grow and grow and grow and become this amazing, huge, beautiful tree. Okay, the second stage of faith that you might be at is called the would you faith or will you faith. This one is like, God, I know you can, but I'm not sure if you are willing to for me. Sometimes we have this feeling in our lives where we think that we've messed up so much that God will not be willing to help us. That is not the case. I just want to let you know this right away, is God cares about you so much that no matter what you've done in your life, he's still willing to be there for you and willing to help you out. Matthew 8:1-3 says this: "When he came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, 'Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean.' Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. 'I am willing,' he said, 'be clean.' Immediately he was cured of his leprosy." What's really amazing about this story is, if you guys don't know what leprosy is, it's pretty much this awful disease that affects the skin and it's so contagious that touching them would most likely give it to you as well. And so everyone stayed away from them as far as possible. They were the lowest of the low of people. But God was saying, I am willing, even though it was someone that no one else would ever think to touch, think to look at, think to have value for. He still looked at him and was like, I am willing to heal you. And he did, and he was healed. I just want to remind you that, yeah, God is going to always be willing to heal you, be willing to walk with you. If that's where your faith is at, it's okay. God is still there with you. He sees that you might be having a little bit of doubt. He saw his faith for where he was at, and he was there with them. Third stage in faith that you could be at today is the should you faith. Now this is the one that I always strive to hit. Some days I'm not there. Some days I'm closer to the will you faith, and I am not quite sure where he's at, which is honestly, like I said, it's okay. There are other times, however, where I am actually in the should you faith. Pretty much should you faith is its part where you'll be like, I know God can, I know he will, so should he do it, I'm going to reach into the kingdom of heaven and take what is rightfully mine. As a child, if you've ever gone to your parents' room and asked them for a glass of water when you were like 2 or 3 years old or whatever, your parents would have woken up, gone downstairs, grabbed you some water and brought it back up to you. And same with God as our Heavenly Father. When we ask him something, he is willing to give it to us. So knowing that we are a part of his kingdom, we are his sons and daughters, we have the power of his kingdom. And because of that, we can hit this should you faith where we can ask him something and believe that he will do it for us and not have that waver. So again, in Matthew 8:5-13, when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, asking for help. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home, paralyzed and in terrible suffering." Jesus said to him, "I will go and heal him." The centurion replied, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, 'Go,' and he goes, and that one, 'Come,' and he comes. I say to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was astonished and said to those following him, I tell you the truth, I have never found anyone in Israel with such great faith. Then Jesus said to the centurion, "Go, it will be done just as you believed it would." And his servant was healed at that very hour. So this man, he didn't have to see God do it. He already knew that God was able to and was willing. And he said, just say the word and I know I'll go back to see the servant of his healed. Just know that if there's a day that you go from should you faith to will you faith because maybe you sinned and you don't know how God's reacting to you, remember, he is a just God and he loves you with all his heart, and no matter what you've done, it won't stop him from having you in the kingdom if you've accepted him into your life. Ask for forgiveness, and he says in the Bible that when you ask for forgiveness, he separates it as far as east is from the west. If you think about it, as far as east is from the west, if you go out into outer space, which is unending, east unending that way, west unending that way, like it's insane to think like God separates it that fast, that far, because he has forgiven you and he loves you and he wants you to still be a part of his relationship. And that's why he died on the cross in the first place, was so that he could separate the sin from us and still be able to have that close relationship with us, that no matter where you are in your faith, God still loves you. God will still answer your prayers. If you guys have any prayer requests and anything little or big, like I write them in the comments or DM us on Instagram if you guys want to maybe have it private. I will not put any names on them, but what I want to do is I want to have them in here, and every day I'm going to type one out to the group chat we have with the people on the channel, and I want them to pray for you guys individually as well as also in the future be praying on the channel as well, because I just think that prayer is so powerful. That's another message on its own. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. It really helps us out in helping get our name out to the world and start changing more lives. So yeah, subscribe down below. Yeah, I will see you next week with another video. Bye. God is bigger than the boogeyman. He's bigger than Godzilla or the monsters on TV. Oh, God is bigger than the boogeyman. He's big enough for you and me.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.